Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I have a very exciting video because the new ODEN'S, or should I say ODEN'S cosmetics palettes finally arrived at my doorstep earlier today. I bought all three palettes and the scarves that came with them. And I'm here to show you three looks with all of them, show you or tell you my first initial thoughts, and do swatches, of course. Before we get started, I want to thank you so much for clicking on my video. I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel. My name is Cecile, I'm 28 years old, I live in the Netherlands, and I love reviewing any kind of makeup, but I do focus mainly on high-end and luxury makeup, but I do also do drugstore every now and then. So let's get into these palettes. So maybe you've seen these palettes already because 2 weeks ago the PR boxes already had gone out. So a lot of reviews were already made by people with larger channels than mine. And there are a lot of videos on them, but I still wanted to bring mine to the table. So when you order any of these three palettes, it arrives in this box, which is a beautiful box to keep stuff in. I personally like to keep paints in this kind of style of box. I did buy the mystery box last year, and it did arrive in a similar box to this one, but of course this one has the art on top. Then, like I said, each palette comes with its own scarf. The Annette scarf I am actually wearing in my hair today. I never do this kind of thing, but I don't know, it could be a thing. I like it. So the first collaborator is Annette from Annette's Makeup Corner, and like I said, I'm wearing her scarf right now. But the scarf has the same image on it as the palette. So this is her palette, the Giant Wolves palette, and this is what the color story looks like. I'll swatch everything in a minute, but I'll first show the palettes real quickly. Then second we have Tina from the Fancy Face. This is her scarf. These really are very beautiful. And this is her palette. I do follow all these three women, by the way, on YouTube, so I was familiar with them. So that's a beautiful, vibrant color story. And then finally we have Judy. She has this beautiful fiery scarf because she has the Red Dragon palette. And I must say the images on these palettes are beautiful and the shade selection is wonderful. So that's already my first review. So yeah, now that I've shown you all the palettes real quickly, let's go into swatches. I'll start with Annette's palette. These are the first three shades. This is Astral, Flare, ooh, these feel very nice, and Antipode. This is sort of the golden green section of the palette. Then we have Annihilation, which is the black, Skull, and Desolate. I'm wearing this shade right now on the middle of my eyes. That's actually one of my favorites. Then we have Howling, which may need a second swatch. Hattie, which is one of the two wolves. That one doesn't really swatch too well. No, it's a little bit lighter. And Ablaze, which is a brighter purple. I'll swatch that one again. And then finally we have Cosmos, Eternal, and Azure. And I'm not sure if you can pick it up, but this shade, the Eternal, is actually a trichrome. So every one of these three palettes has a trichromish shade in it, and this one shifts from blue to purple, I think. I didn't use it today, but these are the swatches of Annette's palette. I think these swatch very beautiful. In real life you can also see a little bit of green gold in the Eternal shade. This truly is very pretty. So let me take off all these swatches so we can go into the second palette. And as the following palette, I'll swatch Judy's palette, the Red Dragon. Let me make sure my arm is dry. This is Sunrise, Solar Flare. Ooh, that one's very creamy. And Claw. That one deserves a second swatch, I think. Keep in mind that I'm not the best swatcher, but I'm sure you'll already notice that. Then we have Overheat, Jade, and Luna. This one is actually sort of a chartreuse kind of shade. It's not showing up on camera very well. Then we have Amber, Yin, and Serene. And then finally we have Fire, Aurora, and Dragon. I'm going to give Dragon another swatch. Look, that's quite vibrant. So these are the colors in Judy's palette, the Red Dragon. Very pretty. So let me take these swatches off as well. I think I'm going to need a new a new towel. Then finally I'm going to swatch the Hummingbird palette by the Fancy Face, Tina. Make sure my arm is dry again. There's really a lot that comes into play when swatching eyeshadows. You have to make sure your fingers are clean, your arm is clean, your arm is dry. It's the whole thing. I personally don't really like touching my eyeshadows because I feel like you go through them a little bit more quickly, and I know you never go through an eyeshadow, but still, I like to keep them as pristine as possible. But for the sake of the video, I will swatch all of them. So first we have Feathers. And I can't wait to try this shade out. Look how beautiful that is. Then we have Red Hills. By the way, if you want to know what all these shade names are supposed to mean, then go to the videos by the 3 collaborators. I'll link them down below. And Star Apple, which I'm going to give another swatch. These are truly quite pigmented. It's just that the mattes don't swatch as creamy as they appear on the eyes, but they do blend out and build up very easily. Then we have Swallowtail, Tropics, and Lagoon. And this shade is so pretty with this one. Ah, can't wait to use all of these. Then we have Hibiscus, Beach Sands, and Hummingbird. And then finally we have Fancy. This is one of those trichromes, Blue Fields, and Clear Blue. And it doesn't really show up on camera, but on the eye, this very pale blue shade does show up very well. In certain angles I can get it to show up. This artificial lighting is really not ideal. So these are the shades of the Hummingbird palette. So now that I've swatched all the palettes, I'll quickly run through my thoughts and then I'll show you the 3 looks at the end. I love these palettes. I definitely need to try them a little bit more because some mattes were really quite buildable. And at first glance I wasn't really sure how well they would blend out. Like the purple I'm wearing in my crease right now could have maybe used another transition shade. By the way, I'm wearing Annette's palette right now. That's the 3rd tutorial. And I really like the shimmers, but some of them were better with a finger or maybe with something like glitter glue or something like that. But others were really creamy and didn't need any of that. So far I think the shade Fancy in the Hummingbird palette is my favorite because of its creaminess and its pigment. But I think all of these shades are at least workable, but most of all very pretty. And I think the looks that come out of it are very cool as well. So I can't wait to do my 3 looks 1 palette videos and get a little bit more in depth on how I actually feel about each and every palette. But as a collection, as a whole, I'm in love. I really love it. So that was what I wanted to say about the palettes. Now I'm going to go into the looks and I'll say goodbye right here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, please consider subscribing to see more content like this and to see the other looks that I'm going to do with these palettes. And I'll see you in the next video. We're starting off with look number 1. And I'm going to start with the palette by Judy. I'm going to use my Glam Light Icing Primer for all 3 the eye looks. I can't wait to do more than 3 looks with these. I'm going to do 3 looks with each of these. Because the sparkles in these are so pretty. This was actually, honestly, the palette I was least excited about. But now that I see it in person, it's still so lovely. And it's just that I want to upload this video as soon as possible. Otherwise I would just wear these 3 looks for a whole day on their own, on both eyes. So I think for the first look, I want to keep the green and the reds for when I do the 3 looks 1 palette video. I'm just going to do a pretty neutral look for this first one. So I'm going into Serene. And I am going to use the mirror that comes in the palette. And I'm going to put this in the crease. I think this is not the kind of palette you want to be super creative with. This is the kind of palette you can pull out whenever you have to do a quick but pretty look. And it'll get you there every time. I'm sure of it. So that's what the first matte looks like. And I do really love this color. I'm also going to put this underneath the lower lash line. I like that already. I feel like I'm biased reviewing these, but I will let you honestly know if something does not work out for me, but so far it's beautiful. I'm going to deepen it up with the color Yin. And this is not even nearly the deepest color in this palette, so I feel like this palette goes quite deep if you want it to. So this is sort of an earthy, clayish color. It's beautiful. I'm also putting a little bit of that in the outer corner underneath the lower lash line. And then I'm wiping up my brush a little bit and I'm going back into Serene. And I'm just going to blend out the other shade. I think that's all I'm going to do with the mattes today. Usually I would deepen this up with Fire, which is actually almost the same shade, but again a little bit deeper. But for now I kind of like this. And now I'm going to add a nice shimmer, and I feel like the shade Overheat would be perfect for this. That's this shade over here. So I'm switching to a flat shader brush, this one by NYX. And I'm going to use it dry, without any primer and without setting spray, because that's how I usually use my shimmers, and sometimes I use a glitter glue, but I don't feel like I should have to. This one takes a little bit of building up, but it does look very pretty. I'm also running a little bit of that underneath the lower lash line. And I'm also putting it in the inner corner. That's it, that's the eye look. Like I said, quick and easy, but I like it. I'll add a little bit of mascara. I would usually also add my Charlotte Tilbury Copper Charge eyeliner with this one, or with this look, but since I'm planning to use Annette's palette late as last, I feel like it'll clash. That's what the look looks like with a little bit of mascara. I'm not going to put any face makeup on until I've done my third look. But I like this. Alright, let's go into the second palette. I feel like I'm not doing these palettes any justice at all, doing it like this. But I didn't want to do all palettes using all palettes at the same time and just doing one look. That would be even more sad. So this is what I chose to do. So I'm so excited for this palette. It's so colorful. It's so pretty in real life. I'm just going to go in and see where it takes me. I'm not going to do anything too intricate. I'm going to start with the color Hibiscus. I'm going to put that... Ooh, this is very pigmented. Put that all the way through the crease, I wanted to say. This is a lot more vibrant than I was expecting. I know it looks very vibrant in the pan, but I was sort of expecting it to tone down once it was applied on the eyes. But this is as vibrant as it can be. It's so pretty. I do need something to blend it out with, and I think I'm going to try to blend it out with clear blue. I did wipe off my brush. That actually works very nicely. You get this very nice, slightly cooler pink on top, but it does blend beautifully. I'm also going to keep this one relatively simple, and I'm going in with the shade Fancy, which is actually the duochrome or trichrome in this palette. I hope I can show you the shift on the eyes. So I'm going to use the same brush from NYX. Oh, there! You can see that it's more purple. Ooh, this one feels very creamy. Yes, this is so beautiful. This is what I'm doing it for. This compared with that crease color. Ah, such a shame I'm not wearing these looks all day. That's incredible. I see pink, I see gold or sort of bronze, and I see purple. This one applied a lot more creamy than the one I used from the Judy palette, but that could just be coincidence in the one shade. And then for the lower lash line I want to go into Hummingbird, which is this purple one. This one requires a little bit of building up. Yeah, I'm not totally impressed with that purple. I feel like it'll work better with your finger. I'm going to try. Yeah, that was bound to be a big mess, but it does look a lot better. Let me take a makeup wipe and I'll wipe the underside of the eye clean. So that purple is very pretty, but maybe a wet brush will also help. And definitely with a finger it applies beautifully. This palette does lack a sort of traditional inner corner shade for my skin tone at least. So I'm going to try to pack on the this is the clear blue shade in the inner corner. I have this small pencil brush. Oh, that actually works better than I was expecting. I feel like I'm going to use this light blue shade a lot when I'm using this palette. Or I'm going to use it in combination with another palette or at least a highlighter. So let me add a little bit of mascara on that side as well. Yeah, that really helps a lot. Alright, so that's the second eye look with the Hummingbird palette. So this is the first one, which you can make ultra sultry by adding that fire shade on top. And this is the princessy, colorful one. Both I really like. So now I'm sadly going to take both of these looks off, and I'm going to use the third palette by Annette for my final look. So I'm back with a fresh face to do the third and final look. Now I'm going to prime both my eyes for the same look, fortunately, which I will be wearing the rest of the evening. So what we're going to use right now is the Giant Wolves palette from Annette. And honestly, when I first saw these being released 2 weeks ago, I was most interested in this one. Actually, I was first planning on buying only this one. So I thought it was only fitting to use this palette as my palette of the day. Oh, so many pretty shimmers. I'm going to go into the shade Howling. I didn't really show it, but I do clean my brushes with this color switch from W7 in between eye makeup looks. So I'm going into Howling. And I'm going to try to keep this a little bit lower in the crease. All these three palettes have a lot of deep shades, but especially this one. And I do like that because that is something that is often lacking in other palettes. But I guess I wouldn't have hated one or two transition shades or something a little bit lighter to blend everything out. So this shade takes a little bit longer to blend out and a little bit longer to build up to its full opacity. But I do really like the shade. This is sort of the shape I want. It's kind of the shape from the first look. I am curious how many people are actually doing videos on these palettes that didn't get them in PR. People should be receiving their palettes sometime this week, I think. I did. So yeah, I'm curious how many videos I'll see popping up. I really like this shade though. I did complain about it a little bit, but I do really like it once everything is applied. I took a quick break to eat some dinner. I hope the lighting is not too drastically different. The weather is turning quickly and it is a little bit dark outside, but I'm sure we can make it work. So I was still working on the purple and I'm going to continue doing so because I want to build this color up just a little bit more. I'm going to take this flat, short shader brush and I'm going into the same shade and I'm putting that underneath the lower lash line. I think I'm just going to pull it halfway. Yes, that's pretty. I do like the fact that you can blend this shade out only with itself. I can blend it into a slightly lighter purple. Maybe it'll take a little bit more blending in a little bit, but it looks okay. I accidentally pulled it all the way through on the other side, so I'm also going to do that here. By the way, I really need some smaller brushes for underneath my lower lash line. I mean, I always clean it up, but it doesn't look too pretty. I'm also going into the black, which is Annihilation. And I'm just going to put a little bit in the outer corner. And in the outer corner on the lower lash line. Yes, that makes it a lot smokier. Even though this is a very dark purple, I feel like it benefits from a little bit of black. So I like that she put that in the palette. So now I'm going back with my original brush and the purple color and I'm going to blend out the black first. Then I'm cleaning off my brush and I think I'm taking a little bit of Ablaze, which is this purple, which is a little bit darker. And I'm putting that around the edges. Yes, that looks cool. I think that's all I'm going to do with the mattes. I'm going to clean off my brush and blend out the top edges a little bit. I do like this side better. They're not completely even. But it's okay. Now it's time for some nice shimmers. I'm taking the NYX brush again and I'm first going into Hati, which is this shade over here. I'm going to put that on the inner part of my lid. It looks pretty, but I'm going to use my finger. That's better. This truly is such a beautiful shade. And then I'm also taking my finger into Skull, which is this shade. This feels a lot more creamy, and I'm going to put that in between the black and the other shade. I think this is a very intuitive look to do with this palette. But I like it, it's what I wanted the palette for. For nice and dramatic winter looks. Now I'm taking my small pencil brush and I'm going into the shade Astral. And I heard that she made it a little bit gold on purpose. And I do like that. But I wonder if a more silvery white wouldn't have been more appropriate, but maybe that would have been too obvious. And I do like that there is a very light shade in this palette to use as an inner corner. That's it for the eyeshadows. I'm going to take my blue pastel liner from LA Girl, blanked out on the name there. And I'm going to put this in my waterline. I can't seem to find my black eyeliner. It's completely lost. No, I can't find a black eyeliner anywhere. So I'm very curious where that is. It should be here somewhere, but oh well, I'm going to let it go. I am going to add some mascara. So I'm going to take my Dior, what is this called? The Dior Show New Look, which is the same mascara I wore in the other looks. It's not the most dramatic mascara, but I don't really have a lot of mascaras open at the moment. I think this is about as dramatic as I can make it with just mascara. But that's the finished look. I'm going to do my face makeup and I'll be right back.